Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be how to rekindle your romance. Well, I've got an email here from a viewer who first found out about me, I guess a few weeks ago, because his marriage of 14 years has basically, actually they've been together for almost 19 years, but they've been married for 14. So it's almost a 2-decade-long marriage. They have a 13-year-old son, and the relationship was basically on the rocks. And his wife they were kind of splitting up, going their separate ways. She was even talking to a new guy. And he obviously woke up and realized something is fucked up and I need to do something drastically to alter my behavior. And so he writes a very detailed email, and he goes through the things that he's been doing and implementing from the book that's had a positive effect on how his wife is interacting with him. So I've got a quote that I wrote on this particular topic I'm going to go through, and then we're going to go through his email afterwards. And the quote says, "Relationships are about giving, loving, having fun, meeting each other's needs, helping each other grow and become more, and to have someone to share your completeness with. One of the biggest reasons that relationships start to become cold, unloving, boring, dull, and unfulfilling is that one or both partners are no longer giving and loving unconditionally in the same way that they did in the beginning of the relationship. Instead of the relationship being fun, exciting, loving, playful, and fulfilling, it becomes full of hurt, unmet needs, wants, desires, drama, hostility, and arguments. The quickest way to turn around a failing relationship is to get back to communicating, listening, understanding, empathizing, giving, meeting each other's needs, being playful, and having fun together. The couple that plays together stays together." And obviously in this particular case, the family that plays together stays together. And you could tell when I go through his email that there was not a lot of fun happening in this relationship. It was just drama and nastiness and just not pleasant. I do a lot of coaching with guys that are trying to save their marriages, or women that they maybe live with and have kids with. And it's really great to see a guy realize what he needs to do to completely get back to being the fun, playful, bantering, humorous, charming, nothing diminishes him type of guy that he was, that she originally fell in love with. Because, I mean, it really causes a huge attitude adjustment and change in the woman when a guy focuses on this and is able to pull it off. But if you're going to be serious and angry and pissed off and butthurt and fearful, it makes it really difficult to do the right thing. And so this guy's done a really good job of reading my book, watching videos, and instantaneously implementing it, because literally his marriage, or his relationship of 2 decades and his marriage of 13 years is about to come apart at the seams. So he says, "Hello, Master Corey. I know you've probably heard it a million times, but I'll say it anyway. You're the man. Notch me up on your bedpost as another success story that finally gets women." Well, I don't know that I'm really going to notch it up on my bedpost, but I appreciate the compliment. He says, "It's kind of long, but I am just so excited to share this with you. Here's my story. I've been married to my wife for close to 14 years, but we've been together for almost 19. We have a 13-year-old son who is the center of our lives. The last few years have been really rough on our relationship. Not financially or materially, but emotionally. We slowly drifted apart. We hardly communicate." And this is what happens. It's not an overnight thing. It's something that happens slowly over many weeks, many months, and even obviously in this particular case, many years. It's kind of like the analogy of the frog. You put a frog in a pot of hot boiling water, it's going to jump right out. But if you put a frog in a pot of warm water and then slowly turn up the heat, he'll just stay in there and boil to death, basically. And that's what happens. They don't realize that their woman or their wife or their girlfriend is slowly falling out of love with him until it's too late, until he finds out there's an affair, that there's another guy. And that's just not a good situation. But I like what this guy did, is he realized, holy shit, this is a real problem, and he took some action, went to scour the internet, and obviously that's when he came across my YouTube videos. He said, "We became complacent and resentful of each other. Our sex life was barely once a month. I've realized that it's not the we who caused it, but me. I like the fact that he's taking ownership and saying, you know what, I fucked up. And that's the beauty of when you read my book, is you're going to find out if you're having problems in your relationship of what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, so you can take corrective action. In other words, you can self-diagnose with it. He says, I basically bitched out of my role and relinquished leading the relationship for her. She took charge, and it left her unfulfilled. In other words, you basically made her the man in the relationship. You caused her to move into her masculine, which is not her natural essence, and she resented it, and obviously it created a whole shitload of problems. He says, I'm actually surprised that this didn't happen sooner. So what I like about this guy is he's flexible. He's willing to take ownership and say, you know what? I fucked up. I'm the man. It's my job to fix it. Guys that have that attitude are the guys who take control of their lives and turn things around. Whether it's a relationship problem, a career problem, a business problem, a quality of life issue, getting in shape, losing weight, whatever it happens to be. He says, it began roughly 2 weeks ago. I discovered that she was seeing other guys, and I'll spare you the details of how I found out and several instances that led up to it. But bottom line is I confronted her with my discovery. A lot of yelling, denial, lies, name-calling, and blaming then ensued. We really tore into each other like two wolves fighting over a piece of meat. That's a good analogy. I like that. He says, years of resentment came down on this single day, and it fucking poured. The whole day is when I found one of your videos on YouTube. I watched and studied your videos, and what really hooked me was in how you were exactly describing my wife's actions and how she was telling me the signs that I'm fucking up. And women do tell you. A lot of guys just don't listen, and women go, you never listened. You know, when she's like walking out the door and with her new boyfriend. You didn't listen. He says it was literally as if you were using her as an example. He says, anyway, I sandbagged work and I spent most of my days watching and rewatching your videos. I bought your book from Amazon.com and digested the entire book's info in a couple of nights. That's awesome. That's what you have to do. You have to become committed, especially if you're in a situation where you're trying to save a relationship or somebody that you're dating and things are going a little sideways with right now. You have to learn the fundamentals. There's no way around it. You can watch lots of videos, which will be helpful, but if you don't learn the basics that are in my book, you're going to be fucked because you're going to make unnecessary mistakes. And for those of you that are going, I don't want to spend $10 for a Kindle, or I don't want to spend $30 for a paperback, you can read it for free on my website. All you have to do is on my website, where there's the email sign-up box, just put your name and your email address in there and click Instant Access, and it'll take you to the next page. You click on that, and it'll take you right to the book, and you can read it right on my website. And if later on you're like, this is really awesome and great, which I know you'll come to that conclusion, you can come back to the website, and underneath the email sign-up box, there's an image of the book. You click that, it'll take you right to Amazon. You can download the Kindle to any electronic device, or you can order a paperback version. And the Kindle's nice because you can have it with you wherever you go, and it syncs it across all of your devices that you install the app on. You can make notes, you can highlight things. $10, it's a great way to go. He says, I had no choice but to essentially cram all of this knowledge because I know this may be the final straw of our marriage. Between the book and the videos, you helped prepare me mentally should it go either way. As of today, I've read your book twice, and 3 times if you include going back and forth between certain specific topics in the book, and hundreds of minutes watching your videos. During this 2-week period of enlightenment, I continued to converse with my wife, applying the knowledge that I was slowly gaining. Early on, being a newbie, I was reverting to being an insecure, needy bitch, but in conclusion, using your techniques, she came back to me. Yep, that's right. I didn't go back to her. Yeah, because if a woman decides that she doesn't want to make the effort and she doesn't want to work on things, there's really not a lot you can do. It takes 2 people making an effort who want to be together in order for a romance to be rekindled. And for the guy says, hey, I want to work things out. And if she's like, well, I don't want to, they say, great. You let me know if you change your mind. That's all you can really do. The strongest negotiating position is being able to walk away and mean it. He says, all the knowledge I gained these past couple of weeks was put into action last night. And isn't it great? You got the fucking loud-ass train, and now you got fucking sirens in the background. It's great living downtown. Those $5,000 soundproofing drapes really work fucking great. He says, we had a pretty intense session where I just let her vent her feelings and bad vibes about me. She spoke 70 to 80% of the time, while I nodded and used the what else and tell me more line. Good fucking job, dude. He says, and listen to what he says next. He says, I made sure I didn't get butthurt over all the things she said and just conveyed an attentive but indifferent attitude and kept in my head that she wanted me. James Bond mindset. Good fucking job. That's really hard, especially when she's puking up years of resentment and hurt and anger and hostility that you were able to sit there with a calm look on your face. But the key is, what I like about this guy is he realized what he did wrong and he took total ownership of it. And this is what you have to do. When you're the one fucking up, you got to sit there and take your fucking medicine. He said, she said I won't change and how she wanted to continue seeing other people. I then pulled the, you're not going to find anyone better than me line while flexing my biceps. That got a chuckle out of her, and I could tell her shields were coming down. Sensing this, I closed in and sat next to her and gave her the, I understand that I hurt you, but I can't apologize for how I acted in the past, but I can promise you moving forward that I can only give you a better version of myself. Fucking impressive. Nice job. She stayed quiet, but I know she was hooked. All I needed now was to reel her in. Since then, she proceeded to say that I will have to work from the bottom to earn her love again. Now that tells me she's open. She's like, all right, I'm going to give you a chance. Because before it was like, fuck you, bastard. I'm going to leave your ass. I'm going to continue dating other people. He says, which I then just smiled and told her to come closer and give me a kiss. I then asked if we could be fuck buddies. She laughed and gave me a playful slap. She repeated again that she wanted to see other guys, which I then responded with your line, baby, I love you, and my door will always be open for you. Yeah, because at this point, you got to give her the freedom to come and go as she pleases. You can't try to control her because it's just not going to work. She's going to do what she wants. It has to be her idea to come back, to rekindle things, and blow the other guys off. He says, I then got up and walked away to the next room. She proceeded to text me, repeating what she had verbally said, and I mimicked her and repeated, how about you just come over here and give me a kiss? No response, but I had a feeling it totally threw her off again. Fast forward to today. I did not text, call, or contact her in any way, shape, or form. We go to the same CrossFit gym, so as I was leaving this evening, she was just arriving. I came up to her car and asked her how she was and how her day was going. She slightly rolled her windows down enough for me to hear. She said it was fine, but then started to say how she was trying to get me out of her mind and how she was trying to not think of me. So in other words, the Jedi mind tricks, they are working. He says, score, my spidey sense is tingling. So I flashed her a grin and said, like I said last night, I love you and my door is always open for you to come back. I started to walk away again, but this time she called out my name and stuck her hand out the window. I reached for it and told her to roll her windows down so I can kiss my wife. Nice. We kissed for what seemed like minutes. Then I whispered, I love you, see you at home, and walked away. Dude, fucking good job. He says, we got to talking again after she came home, and I sat next to her and put my arm around her. She then started telling me about this other guy she met for a few weeks and how he was expressing to her how important she is to his life and that she should not grant me any chances because I already blew it. Notice how he's trying to say, oh, that stupid husband of yours, he already fucked up, but give me a chance. He definitely ain't no 3% man. That's the thing. It's like you're in the best shape because 97% of the guys going to be like that. He's being all sappy and dopey like the guys you see in the movies. Of course, in the movies, that shit always works, but it don't work in real life. You're acting like James Bond. You took ownership of your fuck-ups and your mistakes, and you left the door open, allowing her to come back. And so when a woman's in that space, she's going to go for the most masculine guy who gives her the freedom, which is obviously her husband of almost 13 years and her boyfriend of 20. who she has an emotional bond with, an emotional connection, and a child with, and who she lives with. And you got this needy guy who's gushing about all of his feelings and writing love letters to her and put her on a pedestal and kissing her ass. And she's going to go for the strongest person. She's going to go for the strongest man. The guy who chases is literally going to chase her into the arms of the other dude who's really not doing a whole hell of a lot. He says she was saying he was treating her like a queen and talking to her and saying all these nice, or taking her to all these nice and expensive restaurants. In other words, he's trying to bribe her for sex with blowing money on her and acting like a pussy. He says, I looked at her and chuckled and gave her a let's see you go to him playful tickle. In other words, he's like literally daring her to go be with the other guy. It's a total unattached, take it or leave it kind of attitude. He says, initially I was worried that I might be up against a 3%er, but it just got confirmed that he was just like 97% of the men out there. That's why guys that learn the stuff that I teach, you really don't have much competition. Especially with the really super beautiful women, because they have a really hard time finding a guy that's got his shit together. Because guys are constantly throwing their dicks at them. He says, I felt sorry for this dude, but you can't stand in the way of a Corey Wayne disciple. He's just not going to win. Pretty much. It's inevitable, dude. He says, I swear, as you can tell from my tale, your book and videos were a script for me to follow. I'm still in disbelief how scripted and easy this was. Besides from getting my wife back, I've been opened up to the world of women. I smile at random women in the street, and I now have the mindset that women like me and that my time or love for them is a gift. Nice. Dude, you're doing fucking awesome. He says, I asked their name to quickly judge their interest in me, not because I want to cheat, but because I want to be better at doing it. It's one of the things that like Zan Perrin said, and I think he's got a great philosophy in life. He says, a man who loves women is loved by women. Guys that get it know how to treat women. He says, I banter and quip with women all the time, regardless of age. I try to converse and be friendly to everyone. Your teachings, Mr. Wayne, have made me a better version of myself. Thank you very much. Well, good job, dude. I'm glad to hear that you're doing the right things to re-attract your wife. And what's interesting is she's telling you about the other guy that's in the picture, or at least one of the main guys, and how he's spending all this money. And it's obvious that this guy is starting to fade away, and she's starting to pull you back in. So if you keep doing what you're doing, man, you're going to have this taken care of, dude. James Bond style. Good fucking job, man. I'm proud of you. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.